What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We are still at the Chicago Grit series. This is day... I'm not exactly sure which day this is. Thursday, July 24th. We're in Northbrook. Cool course. It's got a little bit of variation. You can see we got Mito Q kind of letting the wheels go right off the bat, letting this little group go up the road. So, yeah, this size of these fields this year in Chicago Grit have been smaller. I'm thinking something like 75 riders as compared to like the 150 riders that we saw at like Toad this year. And as a result, the races have been pretty hard. I would say that like breakaways are winning the races more often than like field sprints. And a lot of the big teams like Mito Q up here are willing to send guys up the road and to kind of force selections as opposed to waiting until the finale. So following Brody McDonald here, another letting of the wheels, letting the wheel go, so to speak. What do they call that? The satellite sit-up or something? I think that's usually when it's in the finale. But yeah, not holding anything back here in this first lap of this course. This final corner is like greater than 90 degrees, but it's super wide, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. You could take this at speed. And I really loved corners 1 and 2 for the same sort of reason. If you've never done this race before, and if you're looking for the secret insights from a long-time bike racer like myself, I would tell you that just absolutely ripping corners 1 and 2 is totally possible, that there's more room than sometimes it seems on like the inside. Another thing that I noticed specifically with corner 2 is that like I could shift down 2 gears, like two harder gears, longer gears, and just keep pedaling all the way through that corner every time. One thing that I did notice also is there were a few riders, I think Legion riders specifically, that would kind of go out almost onto like the sidewalk and cut back in on that corner, which I never really took that line, but maybe gives you a little bit more to work with in terms of taking the apex or whatever. So yeah, staying active and trying to stay with these little breakaway moves that are going, doing like 900 watts out of that super tight corner 3. So that's like the sharpest corner by far. And as this race goes on, like it doesn't really matter if you're on the front or in the middle or on the back of this group, you are going to be sprinting out of corner number 3 no matter what. I did see a few guys trying to kind of smooth the course out there and staying seated and kind of just like pedaling closed the gap that opened in front of them, but most dudes were out of the saddle, sprinting out of that corner just to stay attached. So yeah, I think we've got a little bit of a gap here. Tyler Williams is up there, just letting that Mito Q rider know that I'm going to close this gap myself. But as you'll see on this next section, we've got some like shadows. This group has got a little bit of separation, but we're still so early, right? This is like 3 minutes into this race, that the likelihood that this one is going to stay away is pretty small. But yeah, I'm doing everything I can right now just to put myself in a position to be in these breakaways. We got like Robin Carpenter here too, tons of strong riders, and these guys basically every day are pushing the pace trying to force a breakaway like this. And I think that this is one of the courses too where staying near the front can actually make your day a little bit easier than having to constantly chase and close the gaps. But like I said, turn 3, 900 watts, pretty standard. We're going to do that for 75 minutes. So I'll shut up a little bit, let you guys hear this breakaway effort at full volume, and then we'll skip ahead to another moment that is an important one on this day. So we got Tyler Williams there doing the monster pull. I'm coming through kind of keeping the speed high, but wasn't enough for that Mito Q rider. I'm not sure what that guy's name was. Was that Keegan Hornblow? Anyways, another thing I wanted to point out to you here really quickly is watch Robin Carpenter's line as he takes this corner. You'll see him kind of jut out, get that outside, and use that. Again, that wasn't something that I necessarily felt the need to do, but if Robin Carpenter's doing it, maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, this is what's called like the PAIN dangle. If you guys watch NorCal Cycling, having to like close these gaps at 32 miles an hour, it's pretty tough. And get my heart rate up to like 172. Another thing I should mention is this, like, during this series I didn't have high expectations in terms of like how my legs would be, how my fitness would be. Coming off of like 10 days straight off the bike while I was vacationing on honeymoon in Iceland means that, you know, day to day, like, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be feeling in these races, but staying active early here and continuing to painfully dangle off the back of this rider. Yeah, no slowing down when this move is about to go. Another thing you might notice, I have a little peak in power there. Watch how I'm able to close or not close this gap in this corner. Not close on this one. There are other times later on in this race where I'm able to like use the corners effectively to like efficiently be able to close a gap without having to do a ton of work. But yeah, you can see that this little group is getting bigger and bigger all the time and more dysfunctional. I think the magical number that I heard Christian Vandeveld say today during the tour is 7. You can do a breakaway with like 7 guys. As soon as you start getting more than 7, though, you got a lot of like people that are just passengers that are not going to be contributing, and that dysfunction is kind of on display here. We got guys on the right, on the left. This group is coming to pieces. Still doing 33 miles an hour on this backside, which had a little bit of a tailwind. But yeah, I think that most of these dudes, looking back now, anticipating the catch, Robin's going to hop right in, and on we go. So let's take a look at a moment later on where things have changed. Okay, so we didn't jump ahead too far. This is a few laps later. I know that I mentioned this was going to be where something had changed. Basically, that little group has been caught. These are the fast guys near the front. And we're going to see another attack here by Tyler Williams. So this guy straight ahead of me, he's going to do this standing effort trying to get away from the field. His teammate, Brody McDonald, there to my right, is going to just kind of move over to the left to try and disrupt and prevent anyone else from bridging up to Tyler Williams. So I know that I prefaced this. There they go. I prefaced this. That was a Luke Fetzer. We got a Legion rider, a few guys willing to give chase. I mentioned that this is going to be when things changed. I don't think that attack from Tyler Williams is necessarily representative of anything having changed. This is actually just more of the same. We're still in the first, like 10-15 minutes of this race, so attacks are still flying. And as you'll see, as the day goes on, those attacks kind of get blunted over time, I would say. And as we get closer to the end, it is just like a softening of the field, maybe. And so let's look a little bit deeper into this one and see if that is true. So let's jump ahead a bit. Okay, so again, we've jumped ahead a ways here, and as I mentioned, I was kind of staying active this whole day, but you can tell that at this moment the pace has come off. So you can kind of feel when a move is about to go, and I'm going to follow Brody McDonald. Dude has been crushing the crit scene this summer, and so definitely a good wheel to follow. I think that there's a little move up ahead of us at this point that he's kind of trying to close to. I don't think that he is going off into the void himself here, but what an amazing opportunity just to get a free tow up to wherever Brody McDonald is headed. And so this is something that you can maybe learn from if you're a young crit racer out there, like finding opportunities where you can follow a strong wheel and get sort of like a sheltered ride away from the rest of the group is a good tactic. And I'm going to pull through here doing the best I can. I can see that there's a group up the road. I think I can see that there's a group up the road. Yes, there they are taking that corner. So we pulled a few other guys along with us. We've got a MitoQ rider, and it looks like a Parks Law Firm rider. I think Brody is still behind me, so he's expecting me to close this down. Maybe smartly, I can't tell if the whole group is behind us at this point, but looking at that little breakaway, that has been basically shot down. Those guys are done. And looks like a Big Jim, a Lucas Burgon, and a third rider here from a team that I'm not familiar with. So let's keep it rolling. Gonna do another little dig here, trying to get to those 2 riders. We got another dude to my left who's thinking the same thing. So yeah, more attacks flying, nothing really sticking, and got my teammate there, Dylan Flukiger, whose last name I have since learned how to pronounce. Dylan has been doing great, just crushing these races, staying in like the top 20 on the result sheet consistently. So major kudos to the Fluke. Let's jump ahead. All right, so we have jumped all the way to near the end. We're in the final 2 laps here. You can tell, at least I can see, that the guys around me are looking a little ragged. There's a dude up here with his shirt undone, his jersey open, flapping in the wind, because aerodynamics be damned. I am definitely feeling the efforts throughout the day at this point myself. If you were paying attention earlier, you saw like Tyler Williams is throwing a bunch of attacks. You probably saw some other like MitoQ riders, for example, throwing a bunch of attacks. Those guys are also feeling this the same way that I'm feeling, doing the whole PAIN DANGLE thing. This is something that I always cringe at seeing when I'm looking back at my video footage, but there are times when you don't really have a choice, right? Like, I know what I should be doing in this moment, and then there's like the state of my legs, which is totally toast. And yeah, like I said, coming off of a 10-day vacation, throwing myself right into these Chicago Crit Series races, it's like a rude awakening in a lot of different ways. Definitely felt that most on day 1, and I've kind of acclimated a bit here, but yeah, we're coming into, this must be the final lap, and on the backside of this course, doing like 300 watts at 181 beats per minute, like I'm just in total survival mode. This is a good example, though, of something that I was trying to point out earlier. When you're struggling, you're really feeling tired, you can maximize efficiency. What I mean by that is, I know that I'm dangling. That is not super efficient, of course. But I'm not panicking and like trying to do more than 400 watts to stay attached. I'm using the corners. So if you pay attention, you know, like I can, at the back of this group, kind of just like take the corners at a little bit higher speed and get reattached by the end of the corner, as opposed to trying to close down gaps on these straightaways where everything is getting stretched out. So the best example of how to do that, I would say, is this corner that you really have to cut a lot of speed no matter what. So I have this 30-foot gap in front of me. I'm out of the draft more or less, or I'm not getting a maximum draft here, but let's see if I'm able to close this by the end of the corner, which I'm guessing I will be able to. So I'm able to just take that at speed, close it back up, and here I am back in the mix. So not a position you necessarily want to be in, but it's a way that you can help, you know, salvage a result when you're struggling at the tail end of a big race like this. So passing other dudes like Michael Garrison, I think this was his first day here. And I don't think that I have a ton left to put down much of a sprint. But let's see how the finish plays out here. So yeah, I'm basically feeling like a shell of my former self, coming in for, I think, like 32nd place or something, but this was the first finish that I even bothered contesting, so it still felt like progress. And yeah, super fun course, Northbrook, so check it out. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next one.